We are back in Age of Empires Mobile, and today's video is an in-depth review all about Mehmed. Boy Mehmed, this guy is insane. He's freaking awesome. If you guys have been following my channel and if you know my in-depth review videos, then you understand that I only make these videos on heroes that I have spent time investing in, I've spent time fighting with, and I've spent time tweaking with. I will not make an in-depth review on any hero that I do not use. So, without further ado, let's jump into the video. So, to start things off, I'm just going to show you guys my main lineup that I use with Mehmed. I do use him primarily with swordsmen. He is a swordsman and an archer hero. I also use him in archers as well with my teamer. But right now, Saladin is just performing really good with my teamer, along with Bellevue, so he fits right there with my Miyamoto. Now, Mehmed is a support buff infantry archers, as I said. His active skill, his commander skill, he's going to increase the damage dealt by nearby allied troops up to 3 troops. Your other troops will be prioritized. So, he's going to be increasing the damage of 3 troops, with your troops always being within those 3 troops, which is actually huge. This is a huge support role as a primary. If you really think about it, you can have Mehmed as a primary. Okay, you can have him as a primary. He's going to increase the damage you're dealing, along with his signature skill, on top of that with his commander skill, but as well as 2 nearby allies. You're going to be increasing just the damage that your allies deal. So if you're buffing a Lubu, if you're buffing a Cyrus, if you're buffing a Miyamoto, you're going to be buffing an AoE. You're going to be buffing an area of effect damage. You're going to be, it's huge. You have potential to inflict more damage on multiple enemies, because if you're buffing 2 allies that are both dealing AoE damage, every single target that they hit is going to be buffed by this skill. Whenever you take skill damage, you recover units equal to 50% of the damage taken for 9 seconds. Okay, 9 seconds. 100 initial rage upon entering battle with a 250 rage cost. This guy's good as a primary. He's a really good primary, especially for a support role. In the past, if you were running an infantry support hero, you would go with Tribuana. If you want to do infantry support as a primary, Mehmed's your guy. Signature skill. Once every 6 seconds, there is a 60% chance to trigger the following effects. Each effect is checked separately. What this means is that it's going to go taking turns back and forth between either the first effect or the second effect. The first effect reduces your troops' damage taken by 25% of a might bonus for 3 seconds. The second effect is it's going to increase the damage dealt by your troops' active and secondary strike skills by 20% for 3 seconds. Very solid skill. Very solid skill. This is essentially 2 skills in one. You're going to be that's just straight up it. It's essentially 2 skills in one, and you're going to be going back and forth between the both, always getting the buff of either skill at one time. So that's freaking amazing. This build I have on him is a tanky build, and we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to talk about his DPS build. Every 6 seconds recovers your units off of a might bonus. Upon taking skill damage, there is a 75% chance to recover units equal to a percentage of the damage taken for 3 seconds. The percentage you are reading on this skill is going to vary and fluctuate depending on how high your skill is leveled. I do have it at level 40, but it's only got 1 star on the skill, so keep that in mind. Peaceful Haven. After your hero recovers units, reduces your troops' damage taken by 15%. So this skill is phenomenal, and this is really where Mehmed shines when it comes to survivability. Before we delve more into Peaceful Haven and how to use it, I just want to point something out. After the hero recovers units, so this skill is only going to trigger if Mehmed himself recovers units either from his skills or a ring, okay? So keep that in mind. However, if he's able to trigger a heal, Mehmed himself, all of your troops are going to get the damage taken reduction, so keep that in mind. Now, his DPS skills. King's Blade deals might damage to the enemy troop every 9 seconds, with a 46% chance to increase all your heroes' damage by 20% for 3 seconds. I used to like King's Blade a lot. In the past, if you've been following me, I was a huge supporter of King's Blade and very adamant about using it. Look, I'm in like the latest stage of the game. I'm in the beta server. We're in the deepest end game. This skill is not aging too well. I gotta be honest with you guys. The skill really is not aging too well. Having it pop off every 9 seconds is honestly, it takes a long. It'll pop off. Firstly, yes, that's great, but every 9 seconds is honestly it's kind of okay. Bloodthirst deals might damage to the enemy troop and recovers your unit's recovery rate by a percentage. Again, the percentages you're reading on the screen are going to fluctuate and vary depending on how high and level your skill is. So, this tank build I have on Mehmed is where Owl's Laminate pops off, Peaceful Haven triggers. Okay? If you want to go with a DPS build for Mehmed, we're not going to talk about Kingsblade at all. Just don't run Kingsblade with Mehmed. This guy is meant to be popping off heals. You want to have Bloodthirst on so you can deal that high damage factor. It can potentially be buffed by your signature skill. And then, don't even think about, when you're looking at Bloodthirst, the idea is not, oh, I want to make him heal. No, you just need to have him trigger a heal. With Bloodthirst, you're going to deal your high might damage, trigger recovery, and then Peaceful Haven is going to pop off. So that's going to be your DPS build with Mehmed. Now, why is this your DPS build, and then this is not your DPS build? How come, Alice? How come you wouldn't have... How come this is not a DPS build? And the reason being is that, although, yes, this might output more damage, and if that's just what you want, is to just output more damage, go with it. Peaceful Haven is essential to have Mehmed, whether you're using him in archers or infantry, okay? You want to have Peaceful Haven on if you're running DPS or if you're running recovery, because triggering Peaceful Haven is going to keep you in the fight longer, which in turn, you're going to be able to throw out more Bloodthirsts. You're going to be able to buff your March quicker. You're going to be able to buff your allies quicker if he's a primary, okay? So keep that in mind. We are going to be shifting the video over now to how I use him with archers. So, Mehmed with archers, I gotta be honest, I wouldn't use Mehmed as a primary with archers. I'm gonna strongly advise you, do not use Mehmed primary if you are running archers. The reason being is that as a primary, Teamer just blows... What Teamer does as a primary just blows Mehmed out the window when it comes to primary usage specifically for archers. However, I go with a Teamer, Mehmed, and then I go with a Bellevue, okay? I'll go with a Bellevue. Now, Bloodthirst is really solid, but I just think Owl's Laminate is better if you want to go for pure sustainability and pure tankiness, okay? If you're looking for DPS, don't go with Kingsblade, go with Bloodthirst, get that defensive bonus that you get from Peaceful Haven. If you don't want to go for a tanky build at all, then yeah, you can do Bloodthirst and Kingsblade, and sure, you are going to output more damage, but whatever. Anyways, so for archers, I go with a Teamer, Mehmed, and then a Bellevue. Saladin plays an interesting role, because Saladin being a hero who just has a bunch of rage recovery, I talked about Saladin in the past, and he honestly plays a role in almost any lineup with any troop type, quite frankly. But if you have a Mehmed with a Saladin, you're going to be bringing double support, which other YouTubers are going to advise against doing that, because then you're lacking DPS. But what you don't understand is what support is doing. Okay, support doesn't just mean, oh, he's a support commander, okay, he's going to be making you survive longer. No, Mehmed is bringing support, sorry, not Mehmed, Saladin is bringing support through rage gain. Mehmed is bringing support through units recovery and tankiness. So if you have Teamer, Mehmed, and Saladin, or Teamer, Saladin, Mehmed, whatever, now you're going to have a Teamer who's going to be throwing out a bunch of single target active skills, as long as you would disengage and then re-engage in combat within the field. Saladin is going to be pumping out his rage. Mehmed is going to be there to buff it. So my archer marches that I run with Mehmed is a Teamer, Mehmed, Bellevue, or a Teamer, Saladin, Mehmed, Teamer, Mehmed, Saladin, whatever. So that's going to be the archer lineup that I run. Again, a Teamer with a Mehmed and a Bellevue, or a Teamer with a Mehmed and Saladin, okay? Now, that's going to be the rundown with Mehmed. You guys, we talked about his skills, we talked about his pairings, I talked about him with infantry, I talked about with archers. Let's jump into his equipment. So, with Mehmed being a support hero, I honestly just want to bring as much units as I can, as much troop health as I can, as much armor as I can, and as much healing gems as I can, okay? Healing gems. A little bit of attack, because I like to bring some attack, okay? But mostly armor, okay? Mostly armor, mostly healing, as you can see right here. A little bit of attack, healing, armor, health, unit capacity. That's the way I run my Mehmed, okay? Again, the rings is... I like to do Ring of Clover because Mehmed, being a hero who's going to bring you lots of survivability, bringing even more, it just really fulfills Mehmed's role. Now, there's something with Mehmed that you can put on, and that's the Ring of Lily. Having this on Mehmed is going to trigger Peaceful Haven more, okay? So those are the two rings that I think are best on Mehmed. Before we end this video, I want to talk about one thing, and it's going to tie into my Saladin video, where I had said that Saladin being all rage gain, you can honestly put him behind any troop type. And I think Mehmed is the exact same way. Because let's take a look at his kit again, quickly. You're going to be recovering units here. You're going to be getting skill damage taken reduction with Peaceful Haven. You can have Bloodthirst and still recover units. But ideally, you want to have Owl's Laminate if you really want the healing. Because you have Owl's Laminate, Peaceful Haven, and his signature active skill that only buffs secondary strike and active skills, throw him behind a Lubu, okay? Throw him behind a Lubu. All of a sudden, now you have a super tanky Lubu. Throw him behind a Cyrus. Throw him behind a Cyrus. Now, all of a sudden, you have a super tanky Cyrus, okay? Why does this work? Because it is support and buff. It's support and buff. All what Mehmed is doing is literally just supporting your march and buffing your march, okay? You don't have to worry about him not giving you the damage bonus if you're mixing it with a different specialty. The reason being is that because he's going to be buffing your troops so much anyways. He's buffing your troops so much anyways, and he's bringing you so much survivability. So if you're a player that is not adept with infantry equipment, infantry marches, you don't have great archers, if you're a pike player or a cav player, I still suggest grabbing Mehmed, okay? Mehmed is still a guy you totally want to get. Anyways, this was my Mehmed in-depth review. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My name is Touch of Malice, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.